Hello, my name is Rachel Oshinsky. I am an independent college counselor and founder of Purple Goat College Consulting. Welcome to episode two. Apparently, these are episodes. Welcome to episode two of um, navigating the college search as an LGBTQIA plus student. Today, we have with us Genny Beemyn, who is the director of the Stonewall Center at UMass, who has been doing this job since 2006, if my internet search was correct. So I'm sure has lots of historical, institutional knowledge from all of this time. And I think this will be really helpful because many students in Massachusetts consider UMass, and lots of people go to UMass. So I think this will be really, really helpful for families. Thank you so much, Jenny.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for being here. This is very exciting. Okay, so you're the director of the Stonewall Center. Can you please provide a general overview of what the Stonewall Center does at UMass?
Sure. So we're the LGBTQIA plus center on campus. We do a lot of things. We provide programming for the general LGBTQ plus community, as well as for individual groups within that abbreviation to try to provide a sense of community, a sense of belonging for different groups. We provide education for faculty, staff, students, also do work in the community to raise awareness and education. We advocate for the needs of LGBTQ plus students, uh, provide resources, support to individual students and student groups. Do a lot.
Great, thank you. Um, could you please describe the LGBTQIA plus undergraduate community on campus?
Oh boy. Well, we know from the admission form that about 22% of incoming students identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer, something other than heterosexual, and about 6% identify as trans and non binary. And that's incoming students. So
Yeah.
we think that's probably pretty low because students may not be aware of their identity, may not be out about their identity. If they're filling out the form with their families and not out to them, they're not going to be out on the form. So we estimate that about 30% or more of students at UMass identify as LGBTQ plus, and I would say it's a very diverse group, as any group that big would be, with very different needs and experiences. Some are just beginning to recognize their gender or sexuality and deciding how when to come out to other folks. Other folks have been out since day one or very young, been out about their gender identity, or been out about their sexual orientation since before puberty in some cases. So they are long comfortable with their identities and may not feel the need to be involved when it comes to LGBT stuff because they feel like they've already have a good sense of that.
Oh, that's an interesting point. Is that something that you see the people who come to the Stonewall Center to be involved are people who are more newly um, recognizing their identity?
I would say it's a mixture. I would say a lot of folks just looking for a community, wanting to meet other LGBTQ plus people, to have friends, in some cases dating partners, but just really to find their sense of home and belonging and community.
Yeah. What is the physical space like at the Stonewall Center?
Uh, Currently, and we're slated to move in a few years and working on trying to get a nicer space. But uh, we have a large meeting room where we do a lot of our events. We have two offices for myself and our assistant director. We have a kitchen, bathroom. It was a former apartment, and so so we're in a residence hall, and it's a nice space. It's very homey.
Nice. Do you host most of your events in the center?
We do. If we're can cram 30, 35 people in to then we'll have it here. If it's gonna be bigger than that, we have to go elsewhere.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so you spoke a little bit about the resources that you offer to LGBTQIA plus students from the center, and I'm wondering if you could elaborate what sorts of programming and resources are available to LGBTQIA plus students, either from your office or from others on campus.
Sure. We do a lot of events. We probably do about 3 events a week during the school year. So we are very busy doing events for the general LGBT community, for different groups. Like we do events typically for students of color, for trans students, for A students, for bi and pan students. We run a support group for LGBTQ plus undergraduates. We have one as well for grad students. We have a mentoring program to match incoming students with returning students to help students get sort of accustomed to campus. So we have a whole lot of things going on to provide resources and support to students.
That's fantastic. Okay, 3 per week, 3 events per week. That's pretty good. And how many people work in the Stonewall Center?
Currently, we have myself and another staff person and 8 students and 1 intern.
8 students? Oh, okay, okay. That's great. I like the sound of this mentoring program. Can you tell me
Yeah,
more about that?
yeah, it's something we've had for a number of years now. It's really helpful to incoming students, whether they're first year students or transfer students or new grad students in some cases, to be able to come here and be able to be matched with somebody from the LGBT community who shares their identity or shares their interests or major, depending upon what's most important to them, to help them get acclimated to campus, not just to like how do how do the buses work around here, which I honestly still don't know. But but just also like what's LGBTQ plus life like on campus? What are opportunities to get involved and to get introduced to people in the community, someone's peer set, right? So it really helps people to sort of immediately have a place and to be knowing people, because especially if you're a first year student, you're living in first year student housing, which means you're around other first year students who are just as clueless as you are. So it helps to have someone who is an upper class student who can show you around, show you the ropes, so to speak.
Great. Yeah, that sounds really, really helpful for first years. Okay. Oh, speaking of first year housing, um, could you please tell me about the gender inclusive housing on campus?
Yeah, so we have gender inclusive housing both for incoming and returning students, and both are growing because we're just seeing so many more students who are identifying as trans and non-binary. So both the spaces for our incoming and returning students are growing. Currently, we have 1 building for gender inclusive housing for incoming students, and we started out being 1 floor, and then last year it became 2 floors. I wouldn't be surprised this year if we have to expand it to 3 floors. And then for returning students, we have gender inclusive housing several places on campus. The main building is also expanding, which is where we have our LGBT floor as well. We have LGBT housing as well as gender inclusive housing. Although the LGBT floor has gender inclusive housing on it, we also have gender inclusive housing that's separate from that, recognizing that for a number of reasons people may want gender inclusive housing but not want to live on the LGBTQ plus floors.
Interesting. And how does gender inclusive housing work? Does gender just not a factor in assigning roommates, or can students just?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Great. Okay. So it seems like this is a growing initiative. That's wonderful. Are there any other growing initiatives in the works at UMass?
Well, we've been running for a number of years, and COVID put the kibosh on making that happen. And some other issues that have come up is we have long wanted to change how we do housing. It makes no sense to assign housing based upon what's on someone's legal documents. We need to be assigning housing based upon who someone is, how they identify. And we are finally able to make that happen. So, in not this coming fall, but fall 24, we're going to be assigning all housing on campus based upon gender identity, which is going to make it a lot easier for non binary students to be able to find other non binary roommates than what our current process is. So I'm very excited by that because we have such a huge non-binary student population. It's going to make it a lot easier for those students to be able to have roommate selection go well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, I have a question about just generally life for LGBTQIA plus students and what it is like to be um, out in this community. So UMass is a really large school, and I'm sure that people arrive with a variety of different attitudes and levels of knowledge about the LGBTQIA plus community. So how does this play out at UMass, and how does this impact LGBTQIA plus undergraduates?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we are a very large school, which in some ways is great. In other ways, it does mean that we have students here with religious and political and cultural beliefs that are not very inclusive of LGBTQ plus students. And of course, we hope to make them be more open and inclusive through education. But of course, that's not something that's always going to happen or always possible to have happen. I would say the climate here is good compared to like a large flagship college. Uh, I think if we look at climate on college campuses, I think we are up there as one of the more supportive college campuses, like along with places like UVM or UW Madison or Berkeley. Schools that have a very progressive student body for the most part are in progressive communities. I think we are very much up there like that, but we certainly can't have the same kind of climate as, like, say, a small liberal arts college or historically women's college where you have more of a homogeneous population, where you have pretty much all progressive students and a lot of liberal arts majors. Uh, because UMass is so diverse, we can't have that same sort of environment. So we have more opportunities, but it also comes with a little bit of a downside in terms of you're going to sometimes encounter people who are ignorant or sometimes even hostile.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. It's helpful. Okay. Moving on to a happy topic. What is the best thing about being an LGBTQIA plus undergraduate at UMass?
The opportunities that are here, there's just so much you can be doing, getting involved with, not just LGBTQ plus stuff, which we have a ton of things, but just in general, whatever your interest is, hobbies or sports or wellness, spirituality, there's something here for you, or if not, it's very easy to be able to create that. So I think it's really wonderful for students who come here to be able to have such opportunities, to be able to choose from so many different things, and there's something going on every night. in terms of performances or lectures or activities or groups doing events, that you could be busy every night, if you really wanted to be that involved. So it's really great. It gives students a lot to be able to learn from and to experience.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, follow-up question. What is the most eccentric or like niche club that you have encountered at UMass?
Oh boy. Hmm. That's a tough one. I'm not sure what that would be.
Okay, no worries. I'm going off book here. Um, no worries. But I bet there's a lot of like really, really fascinating clubs that students can join, as you mentioned. All right, next question. This is the final question, unless I go off book again. What is your favorite thing about working with the UMass community?
Oh, that's an easy one. And it may sound trite, but really our students, what keeps me going in this job is having really great students to be working with. I just love their energy and what they bring to the work that we do. Our events are mostly devised and developed and carried out by our students. And that means that we do some really fun things and some really exciting things. And I just enjoy seeing what they come up with and helping them to fulfill their interests and dreams, really, about what they want to see, how they want to create community for folks at UMass.
Great. And it sounds like, yeah, you have 8 student workers in your office. So I mean, it sounds like they have their input is very much a part
Yeah,
of,
they rule.
yeah. They great. Well, that's it. Thank you
You're
so
very
much.
welcome.
Is there anything that we didn't get to that you think is important for families to know in their college search about UMass and LGBTQIA plus life at UMass?
Just that we are considered to be one of the best schools when it comes to having policies in support of trans students. That's something that I'm very proud of. It's something that I have devoted a lot of my work here in the past 17 years, is to make sure that we are going to be a very good campus for trans students. And I think we are there. I think we have more trans inclusive policies probably than just about any college in the country. And I think we do really well by our trans students. Not that things don't happen, because things are going to happen, because even if you have policies in place, human beings have to carry out those policies, and sometimes don't always carry out the policies as you might like them to do. But I would say we have really good policies in place and a lot of really good people here. I've been here, as you said, since 2006. I've seen a lot of change, and it's been change for the good. When I first came here, and I came here from Ohio State, so I came here from a more conservative campus, and I had done a lot of work there to develop the college to be more trans inclusive. And so when I came here, I thought, oh, okay, great, this is going to be easy, right? More progressive school, more progressive state. I can do the same thing that I did at Ohio State and make UMass be more trans inclusive. Because at the time I came here, there was nothing in place here for trans students. And when I got here, I realized why there was nothing in place, because there was no desire to change anything. The status quo worked very well for the folks who were in the administration at that point. And I had a really hard time getting them to do anything, even to add gender identity to a non-discrimination policy. People would talk to me, but they wouldn't do anything. You know, they would not walk the walk. Persistence pays off, and people changing pays off. You know, all those administration people who were not willing to change anything, retired or moved on to other places. And we've gotten new administrators over the years. And I would say that we have really great people in senior leadership at the university, from the chancellor on down, who really are very supportive of the LGBTQ plus community. And now when I ask for something, it's not a question of why, but a question of how. There's a recognition that we need to do as much as we can to be supportive of our trans students. So it's not a question of should we do this, but how can we make this happen? What is the best way to make this happen? And that could be a big question, because it might involve changing software systems or changing a whole new process, like with our housing, to create a whole new way of, assigning housing, which means, rewriting the entire software that they have in order to make that happen. But there's that kind of commitment here to do that kind of thing. So I'm very proud of the work that we've been able to do here at UMass Amherst.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I bet it's especially hard to make institutional change with an institution this large. But as you said, your persistence has paid off. I don't know if this was you, but I do have an anecdote. I got my master's degree, my MEd at UMass, and I wasn't like super involved in the campus community, but I remember one time they sent us a demographic survey, and there were like all these options for sexual orientation and gender identity, and I was like, oh my God, like somebody knows what's up. And I don't know if that was you, but like a really
That was me, yeah.
That was you. Yeah, it really made an impact on me. I was like, I can actually choose mine. It's an option. Yay. So that's just an example.
Yeah, and that's a good example. Like it took me years to get UMass to change its forms to be asking gender identity and sexual orientation. But when the right people got in place, I was able to basically add all these options. I think we have more options for gender identity and sexual orientation on forms than probably any other college in the country, because I wanted to be as inclusive as possible with that.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you for your work. Thank you for your great work, both at UMass and just generally the resources that you offer for free on the internet that are super helpful. Your website is GennyB.com, is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah. So families, if you want to find some good resources, GennyB.com is great. All right. Any other resources that you want to plug before we wrap up?
Just I would say that all of our trans inclusive policies and how to access them, as well as resources in Western Massachusetts for trans folks, are on our website. So it's easy to find out how to do things, or if you're looking for support, where to go.
Great. Thank you so much, Genny. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Bye.